The date is May, and it's been a minute since I've posted it on this channel. I am turning 25 soon, so I thought I'd make a video on the 25 things, the 25 lessons that I've learned as a soon-to-be 25-year-old. I'm not yet, but by the time whoever watches this video watches it, I'm going to be 25 years old. I'm going to try to keep these as succinct as possible, but 25 is a lot of lessons, so I can only do so much. I'm looking at this notebook, by the way. If I'm looking down, that's what that is. Uh, let's get right on to it. So the first lesson is that the more years pass post high school or college, if you don't do college, you know, it's not college, maybe it's trade school, but the more years pass post that phase of your life, the less concerned you are about, your public image, your perception, as it concerns other people. And so that frees you. It's a freeing aspect of life. And it's a natural kind of flow. You're not even aware of it, but sometimes you're kind of you succumb to the tunnel vision that comes with that phase, whether it's in college or high school. And when people aren't in your life or aren't surrounded in your vicinity in that same capacity, it frees you up to do what you want to do, and that's a good aspect. um, so if you're in that phase of life, just wait it out. You'll be more concerned about what you want if you allow yourself to be, and less concerned about other people's opinions soon enough. The second one is that most people don't know what they're doing, right? And if you're looking at people through the lens of social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, I guess maybe not Facebook, it's more of a boomer platform, but most people don't know what they're doing. If it seems like people do know what they're doing through, having an established life, having a nice apartment, a very nice car, the ideal job they want in their early 20s, traveling wherever they want, they are either in credit card debt, deep credit card debt, or they just come from, affluence, from a rich family. And so be aware and enjoy the phase of life that you're in, because as long as you're just doing everything that you can do to get to the next step, to progress, you're okay. Don't focus on other people, because most people are, everyone is faking it. And if they put out the image that they're not, that they're doing all right, um, 9 times out of 10, it is a facade. Um, the third one is to prioritize exploration over stagnation. Your 20s, your early 20s especially, but this applies to life, but especially your 20s, you want to prioritize exploring different things when it comes to career, when it comes to hobbies. It is the ideal period to experiment with your personality, with things that you like to do, with things that you don't like to do. um yeah, it's kind of the arena of training yourself around different things. At least this is how I perceive it. um it's like the pilot or the beta test, right, to your more stable, maybe adult life in your 30s and 40s. So prioritize exploring. It's okay if you were a fireman in one season, a teacher, a substitute teacher in another season. um Explore, experiment. That's what the time period is for. So, and if it looks like other people, they have this stable 9 to 5 that's allowing them to do things that you're not able to do, just focus on, at the end of the day, if you prioritize exploration and experimentation, you'll be so more well-rounded of a person, as far as your character goes, as far as your skill sets go, right? So yeah, exploration is definitely better than stagnation, than staying in the same place. And if you feel like you're stuck, just try something different, It's like a signal, a signpost for you to do something different anytime you're stuck or you're stagnating. Um this fourth one is kind of intuitive, but the more time that passes by, the clearer it is for me. But when it comes to your relationships, When you're in high school, middle school, and you're in college, if you're going to college, in those earlier years, um, you feel like the relationships or the perception of your relationships holds so much weight and holds so much value and importance. But the thing that really matters are the relationships, the people that stick with you in the good times and more importantly, the hard times, right? So you recognize that the quality of your relationships are so much more important than the quantity. If you have one or two good friends that are genuine and that stick with you in the highs and lows, that you can share good and equally bad news with, right? Because that's a rare. It's you recognize the rarity of it. The more time that goes by, if you have that, you know, uh, cherish it and value it more than having like 50 friends that are superficial and don't really have your best interest in mind, right? Um, that is the what? Fourth lesson. Fifth one is to um yeah, it kind of relates to the fourth one. Even though the quality is much more important than the quantity when it comes to your relationships, don't undervalue the utility and just benefit of meeting random people and the random nuggets of wisdom and insights that you can get from meeting strangers, talking to strangers. Have a diversity of perspective of the world by talking to different kinds of people, by learning from different kinds of people, right? You can learn something from anybody, and that it doesn't really, you know, restrict or confine itself to people. It comes to, reading, listening to podcasts, to different perspectives. I'm going on a tangent, but don't undervalue the benefit of meeting randos is what it comes down to. um Sixth one is short, but it encompasses so much. Everything is temporary, the good and the bad. When you're in seasons of just seemingly rough times, that's what I'm gonna call it. Know that it's all temporary. Um, it's cheesy and it's corny, it's a cliche, but there's an ebb and flow to life. There really is. Whenever you experience seasons of just suffering, the darkness of the soul or whatever, it always follows up with blessings, right? You gain insights from the darkness and vice versa. And so know and um, understand that everything is temporary, the good and the bad. Next one is that you want to develop a practice, three practices specifically on a daily basis that um encompass like spiritual practice, right? And this leads to another point I'm going to make in the last one of this video. But you want to encompass a spiritual practice in your day to day, a mental practice, right? Something that expands your consciousness, that expands your understanding of the world and how you interact with the world, right? And something physical, something physically arduous, because your body and your mind are just interconnected. When you have strength in body, you have strength in spirit and in mind. When you have flexibility of your body, you have flexibility of your mind and in your spirit. So having something that is a spiritual practice for you, and that varies depending on what religious belief system you grew up with, whether you know, it's religious or philosophical. Um, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it on the top of my head, but having those three things, something that physically challenges you, something that mentally challenges you when it comes to like reading books, writing, and something spiritual, whether it's praying or whatever. Um, Eight is try your hardest to just get through your 20s, your early 20s, without getting addicted to something. Those are the prime years where predispositions to like mental disorders like schizophrenia and BPD, through epigenetics, it triggers the expression of those disorders. And a lot of the times it comes from addictions to substances. So just like moderation is fine, but just rough out those years by not being addicted to substances. All right. Um. So what is the next one? Oh yeah, this goes back to number three, which is prioritizing exploration over stagnation, and it is to explore, right? But to value the virtue of following through. Set an ultimatum for yourself, a timeline for yourself, telling yourself that I'm going to do this thing, I'm exploring this thing with this intention over this time frame, and follow through that thing, right? And if it you do it, you keep that promise to yourself and it doesn't work, it's okay to try something new. But it is important to not habituate the practice of not following through, not finishing what you start, right? Explore, don't stagnate, but finish through. Complete what you started. Um, that's number 9. Number 10. The 10th lesson is a little more specific to me, but I think it's specific to people in our generation in general. That's Gen Z and maybe Gen Alpha for whoever is listening to this. But it's okay for you to live with your parents for a little while after your high school if you have the blessing and if you're given the opportunity to do that, right? Use it as a time to develop yourself, to get your bearings straight. For me, I live in the Bay Area, and I just can't. I couldn't afford rent. That's like $4,000 in the city when I first graduated college, and so I used that time to explore interests. I still paid, things that I was responsible for, and paid like minimal rent, but far below like the market rate of my area. So it's so don't shame yourself and don't give in to the cultural stigmatization of living with your parents. If you found yourself in that situation now, don't take advantage of it. Recognize the blessing that it is and contribute, right? Do the things you have to do. Don't be an asshole of a son or a daughter or whatever, but don't be ashamed of it if you find yourself in that situation. Okay, I'm gonna pause it real quick. My phone's about to die, so I'm gonna charge it and continue recording this video. And this next one is kind of a practice that I've started more recently in the past, maybe like 3 years. But it's honestly yielded the return, the ROI, the return on investment in this one practice has made it invaluable. And I can't imagine what my life would be now without it. And that is to get a notebook, get a pen, and write down your intentions, your tasks for the day, the week, the month, and the year at the very least, right? And by year, I mean your overarching goals for the year. The months, the things that you have to get done that month. For the week, it's more concrete, and for the day. Um, this is something that has progressed me in ways that I wouldn't have imagined in the past couple of years. And it keeps a practice of accountability in your life, right? And you have a documentation of your development. Um, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have this practice. So do that. And it's a kind of a hack when it comes to manifesting what you want in your life as well. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, the next thing kind of relates to the other thing I said, but it's to habituate and really lock in on the practice of continuous exercise and reading. Try to do it on a daily basis, right? Like 20 pages a day is nothing. Or, if you're doing it through audiobooks, is what I do. It's just like an invaluable thing. The best compliment that I've received in the past year is I was talking to a stranger and we got into like a deep conversation and they told me, I can tell you read just from the way you describe things, from the way you elaborate on topics and the way you talk. I can tell you read. And that hit me. I was like, I appreciate that. I do. So, and the exercise does not need to be overly arduous and like difficult and straining. Just have something that elevates your heart rate on a regular basis. I'm actually reading a book right now called Sun and Steel by Yukio Mishima or Yoshimi. I could get that name wrong, but it talks about the effect of um, the physical activity that you induce in your body and how it informs your spirit, right? And the way you interact with the world. It's invaluable. And you don't recognize the value of it until like you're sick and you're decommissioned and you can't do it, or when you don't do it for a while, right? Or when you do it after not having done it suddenly. You see in real time the effect that it has in your perspective on the world. So definitely a hidden gem there as far as practices go. So do that. Number 13 is career related. You should have a focus. At least this is what I did. You should focus more so on the industry or the general landscape of the work that you're doing, more so than a specific pocket of work. Now, everyone is different. This is what's worked for me, but you should definitely focus on the industry itself because this opens up opportunities for you. It keeps you in an open mindset to accept things that you wouldn't have considered before, right? And when it comes to those jobs in that industry, always focus, at least in the beginning, on developing skills, right? Meeting people that have those skills over the pay itself, because the pay will come from the skills that you attain. When you have those skills, you have undeniable value, and people will come to you when you have undeniable value. The next part of the equation just comes to like marketing yourself and other things. I can make an entire other video about that, but skills over pay when it comes to your job and career, and focus on the industry. Next one is to know when to leave your job. This also is career related. Do not accept stagnation and listen to your intuition when you recognize that you're not in an environment that allows for growth, or when you're in a toxic work environment, right? I had this experience recently at this company. I'm not going to name what it is. It was a government job. That's what I'm going to say. It was in the healthcare industry, but it was a horrible working experience, and I needed it. I needed a job, but it was in the industry, and I accepted it, and it allowed me to progress in a way that was still relevant to what I was trying to do. Um, but it was a horrible working environment, toxic work culture. I knew I had to leave, so I accepted the job, but I was constantly looking for things outside of it while I was working it. So know when to leave, and it's okay to leave if it's not working, right? Now, don't job hop over and over and over again early in your career. That's again, I'm not gonna go on a tangent on this, but let's move on. Next one. Um, it's okay to change your mind at any point in time, right? You don't have to be fixated on. You don't have to associate your identity with an idea or with a belief. It's okay to change your mind. We are not our thoughts, and we are not our ideas. We could interact with them, we can consider them, but we're not married to them, right? So it is okay to change your mind, because when you do it for yourself, it keeps you open minded when you're talking to other people, and you're not placing that same criteria, that same expectation on other people, to be fixed to their ideas, right? Um, the next one is a cliche, but it's so real and it's so true. And it's to get comfy, get real comfortable with being uncomfortable in life. Because challenges come and go every day, every week, every year. And as soon as you just accept the uncertainty of life as a part of life, and to just get comfortable with being uncomfortable by either incorporating practices, hobbies, things that are challenging, so that when difficult things arise in your life, you're ready for it, and to not fear that sense of anxiety that comes from doing things that you maybe don't want to do immediately. Recognize that as an opportunity or a signal to do the thing that will allow you to progress, to grow, right? So get comfy with being uncomfy, because it is a crucial and critical part of your growth and your progression. The sooner you accept that, the faster you level up in life, I think. Um, what's the next one? The next lesson as a 25-year-old guy is to realize that people's opinions do not matter. right? And oftentimes, when someone is judging you, they're not meant to be in your life. Unless you genuinely care about this person's opinion, they're someone that you trust. Otherwise, forget them. When someone is judging you that really shouldn't be judging you, they're projecting their own insecurities. Um, Rarely does it have anything to do with you. The majority of the time, it has something to do with them, right? And to go through life not wanting any enemies, wanting to be liked by everybody is unreasonable, and you're going to exhaust yourself. Don't be a people pleaser, basically, is what I'm saying. And recognize that people's opinions don't matter. Um, Made an entire video about it earlier in the channel if you want to check it out, by the way. Um, the next one has to do with financial literacy. You don't need to be a Warren Buffett, but just develop very basic, at the very least, some basic financial literacy. Understand what a high yield savings account is, what an IRA is, what a retirement account is, right? How compounded interest works, what an APY, what an APR is, how credit cards work, so you don't fall into deep debt, right? And like what investments look like, what it could look like for you, what saving, the benefits of saving, if it's that's something for you. Develop some very basic financial literacy, and there's a handful of books that anyone can read. 3 books that will give you that knowledge, that basic knowledge, right? So you're not suffering, deeply suffering in your 30s and your late 20s and your 40s and 50s the rest of your life. What's the next one? And again, I'm in my 20s right now, so I haven't seen the effects. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I think you should have some basic financial literacy. The next one is to to get comfortable with spending time alone. What you see on social media are advertisements, are the highlights, the ups, the ideal case scenarios of people's days, right? But a lot of your life in your 20s, at least for me, is a lot of idle time spent alone. And you have to get real comfy with the company that you keep with yourself. Because the things that you do in your own time now will inform your relationship with yourself and thereby your relationship with others later in your life. So get comfy with being on your own and develop a good relationship with yourself when you're on your own so that it's not isolation and it's solitude, uh, chosen solitude. When you do, you find yourself alone. My door just randomly opened, so I'm gonna go and close it. Give me 1 second. The next one is to get real comfortable with saying no to people. Honor your obligations and stuff, but realize that saying no to other people is maintaining the promise to your future self that you do everything that you can to care for yourself, to love yourself, right? And realize that your time, if you respect yourself, is not to be given frivolously. And thereby you signal to your own self, like, I respect myself and I respect my time. I'm not going to just give it out to people. So appreciate the power of no. The next one is to realize that in your work, in your job, whatever you're doing, you are trading time for money, right? Um, and realize that is the trade off with a 9 to 5. People recognize that your time is invaluable. Time is finite. It's a finite resource. Money is potentially infinite. It's a man-made construct, and it's infinite. Your time is not, and the more time that passes by, when you're not doing things that progress you or that benefit you or other people, the more um, you just develop this negative relationship with time where you don't value it. So realize that time is invaluable, and be aware of what you're doing, right? A lot of these lessons can just come down to that. Um, so for the next one, it's to let go of your hubris and to have practices that dissolve your ego, so that you're okay with asking for help. This is something that I've had to struggle with for a long time. It's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to accept wisdom from other people. You can choose to toss it or accept it, but at least listen, right? Um, Again, you can learn anything from anybody. So accept help and wisdom, and after you consider it, you can decide to toss it, but at least listen. Um, Next one, 23, is to have a good relationship with your parents. If I know everyone's situation is different, everyone's relationship with their parents are different, but if you're able to, do what you can to have a decent, good relationship with your parents. Um, in your 20s, I'm approaching more of my mid 20s pretty soon, but you start to realize that they're just people that were trying while they were raising you, right? Fallible people, as we all are. Um, and that their time with us is also finite. So appreciate your parents and try to develop a good relationship with them. Um, Number 24 is to realize that growth and healing is not a linear process. I made a video about this. I'm probably going to put it at the post video card at the end so you can click on it. But the process of growth is more of a spiral that descends and ascends again and descends again and so on and so forth, infinitely till the day you die. Um, so if you're not growing or healing in the way, whether it be because of a death in your family or a transition in your life, whether it be a move or a new job or whatever, breakup, divorce, whatever, realize that growth and healing is not linear. It's complicated and a spiral of a process. Um, Last but not least, and inarguably, the most important one is to develop a relationship with God. I don't care if it's through Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Catholicism, if it's uh, if it's through a philosophical maybe lens on life, um, through like Buddhism or whatever. To develop a relationship with God is to prioritize your higher self in every succeeding second of your life. Have a relationship with God. Prioritize that. It's so important. It'll get you through all these things, honestly. So if you skip every part of this video, at least listen to this one. Anyways, is it good to be back? I'm gonna try to post more consistently. I've just started a new job. A lot of transitions have happened in my life, so it's been hard to post as consistently. But if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. I'm interested in learning from everyone's perspectives. That is it for this one, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.